Picture yourself alone on a boat in the middle of a pitch-black ocean. Suddenly, the sky tears open. A flaming mass of titanium and steel, the size of an apartment building, streaks overhead and slams into the black water. Gravity dictates the outcome for every object we send into low Earth orbit. Whether it's a satellite, a cargo ship, or an entire laboratory, the atmosphere eventually drags it back down to the surface. Look at the scale of the Russian space station Mir. It was a 140-ton collection of interconnected modules and solar arrays. When a structure that massive begins its descent, it becomes a dangerous, high-speed ballistic problem. You cannot allow thousands of pounds of reinforced metal to drop at random. A strike on a populated city or a commercial shipping lane would result in a catastrophic international disaster. Space agencies required a highly specific kind of target to avoid this risk. They needed a zone with zero human population, no surrounding land masses, and almost no ecological activity to disrupt. Getting massive machines into the sky was the engineering hurdle of the 20th century. Locating the perfect void on Earth to safely bury them became the challenge of the 21st. In 1992, survey engineer Hrvoje Lukatela used geospatial software to find the center of that void. He located the Oceanic Pole of Inaccessibility, better known as Point Nemo. This map shows the extreme isolation of these coordinates. If you place a pin at Point Nemo, you have to travel 2,688 kilometers in any direction before you hit a single speck of dry land. And when you finally reach that outer edge, you don't find civilization, you find completely uninhabited rocks, like Motu Nui, which is just a barren outcropping near Easter Island. The water itself is just as barren. Point Nemo sits directly in the center of the South Pacific Gyre, a massive system of rotating ocean currents. These swirling currents isolate the water, preventing nutrient-rich streams from reaching the area. Without a steady food source, marine life is incredibly scarce, effectively creating a massive oceanic desert. Thousands of kilometers of distance from humanity, combined with a lack of biological activity, make Point Nemo the ideal blank canvas for an orbital drop zone. If you were floating on a boat at Point Nemo, who would be the closest human beings to you? The nearest people on land are 2,688 kilometers away. But looking 400 kilometers straight up, you reach the International Space Station. Its orbital flight path regularly carries it directly over this specific part of the Pacific. This creates a unique mathematical reality. When the station passes overhead, the astronauts inside are physically closer to Point Nemo than anyone else on the planet. From their perspective, this is the view of the drop zone. It is a vast, unbroken expanse of blue that looks the same in every direction. Because the closest humans are physically off the planet, Point Nemo passes the ultimate safety test for falling debris. Since the 1970s, global space agencies have used this isolation to their advantage. They've dropped over 250 decommissioned vessels into this exact patch of ocean, earning it the name the Spacecraft Cemetery. Mission controllers orchestrate these controlled reentries with extreme precision, firing engines to ensure the debris field hits these specific, uninhabited coordinates. Eventually, the International Space Station will follow the same path. When its mission ends, NASA will steer the 400-ton structure into this watery abyss. This creates a sharp contrast. Point Nemo is one of the most pristine, untouched natural locations on the planet, yet it is also our designated dumping ground for high-tech wreckage. It is an efficient engineering solution to keep populations safe, but it also means we are slowly building a massive underwater museum of toxic metal and spent fuel. We've secured our safety by burying our history in the most unreachable corner of the planet. Point Nemo is no longer just a void. It is the silent, underwater archive of our first century in the stars.